For decades, Gene Hackman was one of Hollywood's most recognizable faces, a man whose voice, intensity, and natural presence could fill a screen with emotion. Yet, in recent years, something strange has happened. One of the greatest actors of all time seemed to disappear from the spotlight almost entirely. No new movies, no interviews, no public appearances. For younger audiences, it almost felt like Hackman had vanished without a trace. And for fans who grew up watching him dominate the big screen, his sudden silence raised one burning question. What really happened to Gene Hackman? Why did one of cinema's strongest, most reliable leading men choose to walk away so completely, leaving behind a legacy so rich, yet so quietly sealed? What few people know is that behind his calm retirement lies a deeper story. A journey of health scares, creative transformation, and a man who made peace with fame in a world that never stopped chasing it. Gene Hackman's life was never meant to be easy, and maybe that's what made him so real on screen. Born on January 30th, 1930 in San Bernardino, California, he grew up in a modest family during the Great Depression. His father left when he was young, and those early struggles gave Hackman the grit that would later define his performances. After serving in the U.S. Marine Corps, he decided, against everyone's advice, to become an actor. He enrolled at the Pasadena Playhouse, a respected drama school, but his instructors didn't see any promise in him. In fact, Hackman, along with classmates Dustin Hoffman and Robert Duvall, was famously voted least likely to succeed. That humiliation could have ended his dream, but instead it lit a fire inside him. Hackman left California and moved to New York City, where he lived a humble life doing odd jobs while acting in small theater productions. It was there that he began to build his reputation as a fearless, hard-working performer, a man determined to prove everyone wrong. Hackman's rise to fame was slow but powerful. His breakthrough came with Bonnie and Clyde in 1967, where he played Buck Barrow, the brother of the infamous outlaw Clyde. His performance was raw, emotional, and real, the kind of acting that audiences could feel in their bones. The film was a major success, and Hackman earned his first Academy Award nomination. Soon after, he became one of the most respected actors in the business. His portrayal of Detective Jimmy Popeye Doyle in The French Connection, 1971, won him the Academy Award for Best Actor. The role was gritty and authentic, a perfect match for Hackman's natural toughness and intensity. In an era when Hollywood heroes were often polished and glamorous, Hackman's characters felt human, flawed, and deeply believable. He wasn't the typical pretty boy leading man. He was the kind of actor who looked like a real person. And that's exactly why audiences loved him. Despite his fame, Hackman never enjoyed the spotlight. He wasn't the kind of actor who attended parties or chased interviews. In fact, he often spoke about how uncomfortable he felt with fame. While other stars embraced celebrity culture, Hackman valued privacy. He lived modestly and kept his personal life far from the cameras. After 2 marriages, he eventually settled with his wife, Betsy Arakawa, a talented classical pianist. The couple built a peaceful life in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where they designed a stunning home overlooking the mountains. Hackman became deeply involved in architecture and home design, creating several properties over the years. He also developed a passion for cycling, often seen riding around his community long after his retirement. For Hackman, fame was never the goal, storytelling was. Once that part of his life was fulfilled, he was content to step away quietly, something few Hollywood legends have ever managed to do. In 2004, Gene Hackman shocked Hollywood when he announced his retirement from acting. His final film, Welcome to Mooseport, might not have been a blockbuster, but it marked the end of a remarkable era. Many fans wondered why such a powerful performer would leave so suddenly. But Hackman later revealed that a doctor's warning about his heart convinced him it was time to slow down. Years of high-pressure film work had taken a toll on his health, and Hackman wasn't willing to risk his life for another role. Instead, he reinvented himself once again, this time as a novelist. He began writing historical and adventure fiction, collaborating with author Daniel Lenihan. Together, they wrote several successful books, including Wake of the Perdido Star and Justice for None. Later, Hackman wrote novels on his own, proving that his creativity didn't fade when he left the screen. He had simply found a new way to tell stories. Walking away from fame is something most actors can only dream of doing. But Hackman made it look effortless. He had nothing left to prove. After 2 Academy Awards, countless nominations, and a career spanning more than 40 years, he had already achieved everything an actor could hope for. Yet for Hackman, the satisfaction didn't come from applause. It came from peace. He once said he didn't miss acting because it was such a demanding and emotional experience. Instead, he enjoyed quiet days with his wife, designing homes, writing books, and appreciating the beauty of ordinary life. In a world obsessed with staying relevant, Hackman's complete retreat was shocking, almost suspicious to some fans. The entertainment world is not used to silence, and his choice to disappear created endless rumors. Some believed he was ill, others thought he was hiding from Hollywood itself. But the truth was simpler. Gene Hackman just wanted to live like a normal man again. When you look at Hackman's entire journey, one thing stands out: resilience. From a young man rejected by acting teachers to an Oscar-winning legend, his story is one of pure determination. Every role he played seemed to echo a part of his real personality. Strong, stubborn, but deeply human. He often portrayed men who fought against impossible odds, characters who were far from perfect but always believable. This authenticity made his performances timeless. Hackman also had a reputation for professionalism. Directors described him as focused, disciplined, and sometimes tough, but always committed to the work. He didn't chase fame, he earned respect. And in the end, that's what set him apart. His decision to retire quietly rather than fade away publicly was a reflection of his character. Hackman valued quality over quantity, truth over image, and integrity over popularity. Those values shaped not just his career, but his life. In the years following his retirement, Gene Hackman was rarely seen in public. Fans were surprised when a few photos surfaced of him running errands or cycling in Santa Fe, looking healthy and content. Each time, the internet buzzed with excitement. Gene Hackman is alive and well. It was as if the world couldn't quite believe that a man of his fame could simply vanish into a normal life. But Hackman never felt the need to prove anything. He granted a few short interviews, mostly to discuss his writing, and stayed away from Hollywood events. Unlike many retired stars, he didn't chase nostalgia or seek attention. He seemed completely at peace with the idea that his acting days were behind him. For those who admired him, those rare glimpses were enough. Reminders that the man who once ruled the screen was still living quietly, just as he wanted. Gene Hackman's legacy isn't just about awards or box office hits, it's about authenticity. In every performance he brought truth. He didn't rely on glamour, special effects, or fame to make a role memorable. Instead, he used his experience, emotion, and empathy to create characters that felt real. Whether he was a tough detective, a cold-hearted villain, or a gentle father, Hackman made audiences believe. That's why his films still resonate today. Younger generations discovering The French Connection or Unforgiven can still feel his power. His performances were timeless because they were honest. Few actors in history have managed to combine such intensity and vulnerability. And even fewer have had the courage to leave the stage while still admired. Gene Hackman's story teaches us that greatness doesn't always need a spotlight. Sometimes, it's found in the quiet moments after the applause has faded. When Gene Hackman stepped away from the spotlight in the early 2000s, many people assumed he would soon return. After all, Hollywood legends rarely stay gone for long, yet Hackman did not return. No surprise cameos, no late career cameos or interviews, just silence. This disappearance became one of the great Hollywood mysteries. People speculated endlessly. Did he fall ill? Was he unhappy with the film industry? Or had he simply grown tired of fame? The truth, as revealed by those close to him, was much simpler and far more powerful. Hackman had done everything he set out to do. He had lived his dream, performed in over 80 films, and earned every award an actor could hope for. What else was left to prove? He wanted peace. He wanted normal life, something most movie stars never experience. For Hackman, the allure of ordinary life outweighed the red carpets. His love for quiet moments in his New Mexico home, surrounded by nature and his wife Betsy Arakawa, became more fulfilling than any applause. He still watched movies, read books, and occasionally gave interviews over email, but his desire for privacy remained unshakable. He often said that acting was just a job, not his whole identity. That level of humility is rare among legends, but it defined Gene Hackman's character. In Santa Fe, Hackman found the peace that Hollywood could never give him. He designed his home himself, a comfortable and beautiful Adobe-style retreat surrounded by the mountains of northern New Mexico. The fresh air, the silence, and the vast landscape gave him a sense of freedom. Neighbors said he lived quietly and politely. He was occasionally seen riding his bicycle, shopping for groceries, or enjoying lunch with his wife. He avoided Hollywood gossip and preferred a simple life. Some might have found that dull, but to Hackman, it was heaven. Despite being away from the film world, Hackman never stopped being creative. He began writing novels, not celebrity memoirs, but serious historical and adventure fiction. Books like Payback at Morning Peak and Pursuit showed that Hackman's storytelling ability extended far beyond acting. His novels were filled with the same realism, tension, and humanity that marked his film performances. Critics praised his writing, calling it cinematic on the page. For Hackman, writing was another form of acting. It allowed him to explore emotions and conflicts, to create characters who felt real. It also allowed him to control the story, something actors rarely get to do in film. It was a quiet passion, but one that fulfilled him deeply. Gene Hackman never fit the mold of a typical Hollywood star. He wasn't a conventionally handsome leading man like Robert Redford or Paul Newman. He didn't chase glamour or celebrity. Instead, he brought authenticity, a raw, grounded presence that made his characters unforgettable. From The French Connection to Unforgiven, Hackman had the rare ability to make audiences feel both empathy and fear. He played tough men with broken souls, lawmen with flaws, villains with unexpected humanity. In every role, there was truth. He often said that he never wanted to act. He wanted to be. That's why his performances felt so real. Directors loved working with him because he brought emotional honesty to every scene. Clint Eastwood once said that Hackman had the gift of subtlety. He could convey volumes with just a glance or a pause. His characters didn't need long speeches. Their presence spoke for them. That kind of quiet power made Hackman one of the most respected actors in history. Another thing that set Hackman apart was his discipline. He treated acting like a craft, not a lifestyle. He arrived on set early, learned everyone's name, and stayed focused. He didn't seek attention at parties or on red carpets. He simply did his work and went home. That humility made him a role model for younger actors who struggled with fame. Though Hackman's career looked flawless, it was not without struggles. In his early years, he faced constant rejection. Casting directors told him he wasn't good-looking enough or didn't have the right image. At one point, he was even kicked out of acting school. But Hackman never gave up. His determination was legendary. He believed in his talent when almost no one else did. Even after success arrived, he faced emotional battles. Hackman was known to be intense, sometimes even difficult on set. He admitted to having a short temper in his younger years. But that same fire was what made his performances so powerful. Over time, he learned to control it and channel it into his characters. Fame also brought pressure. Hackman wasn't comfortable with celebrity life. The interviews, the red carpets, the public scrutiny. He valued his privacy fiercely, which sometimes made him appear distant. But it wasn't arrogance. It was self-preservation. He simply wanted to live as a person, not a product. In later years, as his health began to slow him down, Hackman started saying no to projects. He wanted to leave the screen before audiences saw him grow tired or weak. That decision took courage. He didn't wait for Hollywood to forget him. He left on his own terms with his dignity intact. Gene Hackman's decision to retire has made him a figure of quiet fascination. In an age when fame often defines worth, he proved that peace and personal happiness can matter more than public success. Younger actors often cite him as a role model, not just for his skill, but for the way he handled fame. His performances continue to inspire new generations of filmmakers and fans. Movies like The Conversation and Unforgiven are studied in film schools for their emotional realism. Directors still reference his work when teaching about subtlety and authenticity. Even after decades away from the screen, Hackman's influence remains alive and strong. What's even more inspiring is the way he built a second life away from Hollywood. Many actors struggle to find purpose after fame fades. But Hackman reinvented himself as a novelist and artist. That transformation shows his creativity wasn't dependent on the camera. It was a part of who he was, thoughtful, disciplined, and endlessly curious. The phrase, "They tried to hide what happened to Gene Hackman," captures the mystery of his disappearance.